All right, let's dive into a story from way back in 1963 that honestly feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's all about a piece of technology that promised perfect security, but ended up delivering something way, way more sinister.
You know that iconic, kind of creepy opening to The Outer Limits? That one? Well, it was the perfect setup for this story. A story about control. Not just of what's on the screen, but about who's watching us and how that constant, unblinking eye can completely break us.
So picture this. We're dropped right into the middle of this super intense Senate hearing, and investigators on the stand talking about the mysterious death of a captain at a top-secret research facility. The cause of death was strangulation, and he was found slumped over a machine that is at the very heart of this entire investigation.
And that brings us to the star of the show, this machine. It's called Obit, which, officially stands for outerband individuated teletracer, but let's be real, its nickname is way more on the nose, the Peeping Tom. And you're about to find out why.
So how does this thing even work? Well, the idea is actually pretty simple, but terrifyingly powerful. The theory is that every single one of us gives off a unique signal, kind of like a radio fingerprint. Obit is basically just a hyper-advanced receiver. Once it locks onto your specific wavelength, that's it. It can see and hear everything you do, right through walls across huge distances.
And get this, the range on this thing is already insane. We're talking a 500-mile radius, and they're not stopping there. The goal? Global reach, a world where literally no one can hide. So you gotta ask, right? What happens when you give people that kind of power?
While the investigation pretty quickly finds out that the research center is just falling apart from the inside, and it's not the work, it's something much, much worse. It's the Obit machine. It's like a psychological poison spreading through the place.
And we hear it straight from Barbara Scott, who's the wife of the facility's director. She gets up there and testifies that her husband, this brilliant guy, just changed. He got completely eaten up by suspicion, accusing her of these horrible things, twisting every little thing she did into some kind of betrayal.
But then we hear his side of it. Dr. Scott himself admits it. He was obsessed. He used the machine to spy on his own wife, turning innocent moments into evidence for his paranoid fantasies. And then he'd confront her with it every night, just driving her away.
And the way he describes it, man, it's chilling. He says it's not just a tool. It's an addiction, a horrible drug you just can't resist. That power to see everything, it just completely destroyed him. His mind, his marriage, everything.
Okay, so the human cost is catastrophic, right? So Senator Orville starts digging, trying to figure out where this monster of a machine came from. But everywhere he looks, brick wall. The people behind Obit are really, really good at keeping secrets.
He asks the most basic question you can ask. Who signed off on this? Who's responsible? I mean, someone has to be, right? But the answer he gets? Well, it's anything but straightforward. The answer he gets is just maddening. We haven't been able to find him. Poof. The company that built it? Out of business. The guy who signed the papers? Vanished. It's a perfect bureaucratic disappearing act, leaving no one to take the blame. And this is where things get really dark. The senator starts getting threats. Back off or your career is toast. Then, a possible break. A night watchman says he saw the killer leaving the scene. But just before he's supposed to testify, he disappears from a locked room. Gone.
All right, so if you thought this was just a political thriller, buckle up. Because this is where the story just completely flips into full-on sci-fi horror. They finally get Dr. Scott to testify, and he reveals why he really had a breakdown.
What he says is so simple, but it will give you chills. He was messing with the machine, did something he wasn't supposed to, and he saw something. Or someone. The one person the machine was programmed to ignore. In his words, I saw a monster. And then, boom, the whole truth just explodes into the open. That quiet, unassuming guy running the Obit machine, Byron Lomax, he's the monster. And he reveals that Obit isn't a surveillance tool, it's a weapon, an alien weapon. Its whole purpose is to make us paranoid, to make us turn on each other, so that when his species finally shows up to take over, we'll have already destroyed ourselves. And that's the real gut punch of the story, isn't it? The aliens didn't need some fancy death ray. All they had to do was give us a tool that played on our worst instincts, our fear, our suspicion, our need to control each other. The machine wasn't the enemy. Our own nature was the weapon.
And you want to know how far this has already gone?
The investigation uncovers 18 machines on military bases. But there are hundreds more out there in civilian life. And the scariest part? No records. At all. Nobody knows how many there are or who has them.
So, when you strip it all down, here's what we're left with. On one hand, you have this incredibly clever technology designed to tap into our absolute worst weakness, fear. But on the other hand, we have the choice. The machine can't succeed unless we let it. It's just a thing. We're the ones who decide whether to become the monsters.
And that leaves us with a question that, man, was sharp in 1963, but it's a razor's edge today. In a world with cameras everywhere, with trackers in our phones, with algorithms watching everything we do, who really holds the control? Is it the tech that's watching us, or is it us because we just can't seem to look away? Definitely something to think about.